if you can. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 16th day of June, 2021. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. In an effort to adhere to social distancing protocols and best practices imposed by the city and state authorities, the city has canceled all public meetings and closed non-essential services as of March 16, 2020 until further notice. As a result, this council meeting will be held virtually as a video conference with public access. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. The clock on my computer is showing 6:01 p.m. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Baggiano. I believe you said here. I think that's what you said. Councilperson Soleil. Okay, thank you. Councilperson Soleil is not here yet. Okay, Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Robinson.
Here.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
Okay, we have 8 council members in attendance at 6:01 p.m. and we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Kindly remain standing as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of City Council President Waterman, in accordance with New Jersey laws, public laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2021, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Wednesday, November 12, 2020. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, June 11th, 2021 at 3 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay, with that, council members, I'm going to need a motion to add item 3.7, City Ordinance 21-047 to the agenda.
Motion.
Motion made by Council President Waterman. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to add item 3.7, City Ordinance 21-047 to the agenda, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Soleil is still not here, correct? Yes.
Correct.
Councilperson Solomon, thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
This is to add 3.7.
That's correct.
Could someone just explain this ordinance to me before?
Yeah.
Councilman
The
Hood?
BA is going to explain it.
Yeah, sure,
Oh.
Councilman, I'm happy to. So this is a first reading ordinance, and administration apologizes for coming in late. We were working on the agreement from the legal perspective, but it's a 3-year lease with Jersey City Economic Development Corporation. Oh, sorry, I don't know why my camera's not working. This would be for the JCEDC to run our programming out of what we will call Container Village, which is across the street from our annex facilities. And this was an innovation priority that was kind of built out, and we felt that it's best that the JCEDC now foster the involvement with the small businesses and the the rentals of those containers, and helping them with some of their small business needs. And there's some time sensitivity around this. We're trying to get this done by August 1st, because that would be the next round of applications for the small businesses to get involved in the initiative. And we want to make sure that we have a handoff to the JCEDC by then.
You said the August deadline is to get involved in it. Which initiative is this?
This is the Container Village. So the August deadline would be for new small businesses to apply to occupy those containers.
Okay. And so this is for a lease for the EDC?
Correct. So the EDC would be essentially running the programming of helping nurture those small businesses and cycling them in and out of these containers on an as needed basis through an application process.
Is this part of the properties that we're building out over there? Is that
These are existing containers. It was formerly a vacant lot that now have, I believe, 3 or 4 container. We call it Container Village, but essentially it's a shipping container that has been converted into small retail spaces, and local vendors go in there for a set period of time. I believe it's 3 or 4 months, to kind of get their business up and running, and they get some tools on learning how to be self-starters, if you will.
So we're leasing the property, which is on which the Container Village is situated on, and then
Sorry, Councilman, we own that property, and then because the JCEDC would be running the programming there, we're creating a lease agreement with them for 3 years at no cost.
Creating a lease agreement for the Container Village property, which they will then sublease out to other folks. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, yes, correct, Councilman, that's correct.
Okay, and it's at no cost to EDC.
That's correct, Councilman.
So I just asked that we have the EDC at the next caucus, as well as someone to report on the progress of kind of the Container Village program and efforts there, so we can have a better sense of that before.
Yes, Councilman, we'll have the JCEDC, and we'll have a member of our I team that has been kind of ongoing getting this thing off the ground to represent it at the next council meeting.
Okay, and if we can get any reports or information about the Container Village program and what's transpired.
Yep, absolutely. I'll write that down. Thank you.
I'll vote aye to introduce.
Okay, before we move on to Councilperson Rivera, I just want to mark Councilperson Saleh present at 6:07 p.m. So we now have 9 council members present at 6:07 p.m. Councilperson Saleh, would you like to vote on the motion to add item 3.7, ordinance number 21-047 to the agenda?
Yes, please.
And your vote?
Aye.
Thank
For
you.
Chuck.
Okay, and Councilperson Rivera?
I vote aye.
Thank you, and Council President Waterman?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 9-0 to add item 3.7, City Ordinance 21-047 to the agenda, which I will read in its entirety as soon as I get to the first reading ordinances. Thank you very much, council members, and on to our regular scheduled business. So we're on to our first reading, God bless you, to our first reading ordinances. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 21-041, an ordinance of the City of Jersey City supplementing Chapter 131, Construction Codes, Uniform Construction Code, adding Article 2, requiring gender-neutral bathroom signage for single-user restrooms. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 21-042, an ordinance transferring the Division of Purchasing and Central Services from Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 6, Department of Administration, Section 51, Purchasing, Division of Purchasing and Central Services to the Department of Finance in Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 13, Department of Finance of the Jersey City Municipal Code. Item 3.3, City Ordinance 21-043, an ordinance transferring the Division of Payroll from Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 13, Department of Finance, Section 113.3, Division of Payroll to the Department of Human Resources in Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 18, Department of Human Resources of the Jersey City Municipal Code. Item 3.4, City Ordinance 21-044, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, stop intersections, designating Fairmont Avenue and Storms Avenue and Hoboken Avenue and Monmouth Street as all-way stop control intersections. Item 3.5, City Ordinance 21-045, an ordinance amending Chapter 304, Taxation to authorize a transfer tax and user tax on sale/transfer of cannabis or cannabis items by a cannabis establishment that is located within the City of Jersey City as authorized by New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Enforcement Assistance and Marketplace Monetization Act. Item 3.6, City Ordinance 21-046, an ordinance amending Chapter 242, Peace and Good Order of the Municipal Code requiring outdoor businesses and industrial and light industrial zones within 1,500 feet of residential zones to limit operations between 7 o'clock in the evening and 6 o'clock in the morning. And last but not least, Item 3.7, City Ordinance 21-047, an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City to execute a 3-year lease with the Jersey City Economic Development Corporation for the use of Block 22502, lots 36 and 37, more commonly known by the street address of 351 Martin Luther King Drive, for nonprofit economic development purposes for the public benefit of the Jersey City community. Council members, I'm going to be taking the vote on items 3.1 through 3.7 for introduction. Councilperson Ridley.
On 3.5, I know we had discussions at the caucus meeting. While I do not agree with the ordinance as is, we did agree to go back to the table and work through some things, and we said we would introduce it tonight and then have those meetings in the spirit of compromise. And as we've done with other issues, I think that's a good idea. So with that, I'll vote aye for all.
Thank you. Councilperson Preetary.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Solomon.
Yeah, agree with Councilman Ridley on 3.5, continuing those conversations, and aye for introduction.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Navarro.
Yes, with regard to, sorry, I don't have it in front of me, which was the marijuana legislation, what number?
It's item 3.5, City Ordinance 21-045.
Okay. So with regard to 3.5, as my colleagues have said, thank you for introducing this, and we're going to meet as a council to discuss other everyone's desired needs and concerns and other issues to address as it pertains to the allocation of these recreational marijuana tax revenue. Sean, I didn't get to speak with you. I did speak with everyone in the council. Largely, the rather than have this on second reading for June 30th, the council would like to see it carried over to the July meeting, which I believe is July 16th, for second reading. And so just asking it to carry it over to that meeting and advertise it for that meeting as opposed to June 30th. That'll give the council more time to, sorry, my windows are open. That'll give the council more time to meet, to be able to discuss some of these issues and come to some solutions around the allocation of these funds. Is there anything we need to do, Mr. Gallagher, to carry that over?
So what we'll do, Councilperson Lavarra, we'll finish taking the vote on introduction, and then I'll make a motion to defer to advertise that ordinance for a public hearing on the July meeting. We'll officially do that by a motion.
Great. I vote aye for introduction.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
I vote aye, and like my other council colleagues with respect to 3.5, we did discuss, shortly, in a short period of time, that, we are looking for specifics on the ordinance, and I think that, moving the meeting over to the July meeting, moving this ordinance over to the July meeting, I think that we could reach some of those structures. And with that, I vote aye.
Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
Aye for introduction.
Okay, so I can just recap the vote. Items 3.1 through 3.7 are approved unanimously, 9-0 for introduction. Before we move on to the second reading ordinances, I'm just going to come up with the motion to advertise item 3.5, City Ordinance 21-4, -045 for a public hearing on July 14th, 2021. May I have a motion? Okay. Motion made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Baggiano. On a motion to advertise item 3.5, City Ordinance 21-045 for a public hearing on July 14th, 2021. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Labarro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to advertise item 3.5, City Ordinance 21-045 for a public hearing on July 14th, 2021. And that will be the same meeting where it will be considered for final adoption if it's ready. Okay? All righty. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching at home, this is the time to be by your phones, because if you're looking to speak on a specific second reading ordinance, I would need to have you to provide me with your full name and telephone number so we can patch you through the meeting for the ordinance that you're wishing to speak on. With that being said, item 4.1, City Ordinance 21-037, an ordinance authorizing the sale of a denial of access, the sale of easements, and the sale of the land in fee to the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation of real property owned by the City of Jersey City, known as Block 11702, Lot 5, Block 11706, Lot 1, and Block 11707, Lot 2, also known as on the DOT maps as parcels E12A, E12C, E12D, E12E, 12F, 12G, and DA12B, located near the structural supports of the Pulaski Skyway near the PJP landfill site. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, this is the last call for the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-037. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, council members, no one has contacted me through the live event Q&A. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-037?
Motion.
Oof, I'm going to give that motion to Councilperson Prinzary. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-037, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-037. Council members, I believe that there was a email that went around, and from the BA, if he wants to do a little explanation on email that from our assistant BA, Barker Patel.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, council members. The law department and engineering are still working through some of the deed information pursuant to this land transfer. So we're just asking if the council would entertain tabling final approval of this until we have confirmation that all the deed information is satisfied.
Okay.
Motion to table.
So with that being said, may I have a motion to table Ordinance 21-037 after the close of the public hearing?
Motion to table.
Thank you, by
Second.
Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to table City Ordinance 21-037 after the close of the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye to table.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to table City Ordinance 21-37 after the close of the public hearing. Okay. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.2, City Ordinance 21-038, an ordinance acknowledging the transfer and assignment of the property known as 16 Bennett Street, Jersey City, also known as Block 20702, Lot 60.01, and consenting to the transfer of the tax exemption held by 16 Bennett Street Urban Renewal LLC to 16 Bennett JC Urban Renewal LLC pursuant to Section 9.1 of the financial agreement and NJSA 48:20-22 of the long-term tax exemption law. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, this is the last call on the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-038. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, council members, no one has contacted me through the live event Q&A. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-038?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prince Airy. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-038, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prince Airy.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Soleil.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Navarro.
This is to close, correct?
Yes, sir.
Aye to close.
Councilperson Rivera
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-038. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 21-038, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Council President. Can I, before we go to the vote? I had sent an email. It's my understanding that the audited financial statements have not been provided by the seller, that they have not produced that for the city, which is a requirement of the tax abatement. And in addition, the information that was provided while about the affordable housing units, there was some deficiencies noted by the Division of Affordable Housing Compliance in their memo, although they said that they were working to rectify that in good faith and that they were being responsive in that regard. I would still say that we should urge the council to consider carrying this over. And actually, I had spoken with the buyer's representative about this, or communicated with them, and just to carry it over to the next meeting to address particularly the audited financial statements, which is a requirement of the tax abatement.
Okay. BA, go ahead.
I was going to say if I could entertain a motion to carry over the ordinance after the close of the public hearing to the June 30th council meeting.
Now, Councilperson Navarro, it would actually be in motion to table City Ordinance 21-038 after the close of the public hearing. Because basically, once you do that, you can act to remove the ordinance from the tabled agenda as long as we have a motion and a second, and then we can vote on the ordinance at the next council meeting, which would be June 30th.
I'm fine doing that, but I just wanted to, if we were able to just carry it over, you know, the party involved here has been discussing in good faith, so Oftentimes the perception is that once things get tabled, they don't come back, or there's a chance it may not come back. And I want to kind of just continue to operate in good faith, and they're producing the information that they've been asked to produce, and so.
I'll motion to table.
Okay.
Table it.
The only thing that, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to sway you in any way, but when you table an ordinance after the close of the public hearing, that is basically saying to everyone that you can make a motion to untable it and vote on it. When you table an ordinance prior to the close of the public hearing, that's when you're acting where we would probably have to re-advertise the ordinance and start from the beginning.
I understand. I just, again, just a good faith show of effort to the parties involved, if they're willing to continue to provide the necessary documents. I don't want to send the message that we're looking to halt something that was described as kind of a right for them to do and to transfer the abatement. But at the same time, we want to see compliance, right? So I think it's, I'll go either way, and it's fine with me. So if I think the Councilman Rivera had a motion to table and.
Right.
So I have a motion by Councilperson Rivera to table ordinance 21-038 after the close of the public hearing. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Prinzary. On a motion to table city ordinance 21-038 after the close of the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. You're on mute, Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Navarro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously 9-0 to table city ordinance 21-038 after the close of the public hearing. Okay, on to our next second reading ordinance, which is item 4.3, city ordinance 21-039, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 6, Department of Administration concerning the implementation of the procurement programs for minority, women, veteran, LGBTQ, and disabled-owned vendors. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, this is the last call for the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-039. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. I believe we have our first speaker on this ordinance. Can you identify yourself for the record?
Yvonne Balser.
Okay, Yvonne, your time is going to start on my countdown. You go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I checked the status of the population of Jersey City, and according to the census, Jersey City is 22% white, non-Hispanic. So that means half of that 22% is female, which leaves 11% male, white male. So I'm sure some of those white males fall into the gay and veterans group, which leaves white male in this single digit. When I look at the makeup of the city council, there are 2 white men, non-Hispanic, and I believe one of them is a veteran based upon his age. That leaves 1/9 of the city council who was a white male, non-Hispanic, which reflects the makeup of Jersey City. So in my opinion, this legislation rewards the 90% of the population who basically falls into the other category. Now, I have no problem supporting this if it was only disabled people. Years ago, there was a blind person who read the concession stand outside the city clerk's office in the city hall, and I thought that was great. But I believe this ordinance will reward political supporters, and I'm against it. I'm against any legislation that puts people in categories and rewards them based on gender, skin color, and sexuality. Jersey City should be like the NBA and only hire people or give contracts based on talent only. Sorry, I just don't agree with this philosophy that skin color matters, because we don't choose that. That's in God's neighborhood of that particular area, and I don't agree with it. So from my point of view, the minority of Jersey City is a single white male kind of straight. That's really the minority of Jersey City. So that's my opinion. I know you will do what you want to do, but I'm totally against anything that we base things on someone's skin color. If one of you had a child that was very, very ill and need a doctor, you would not care about the person's skin color or gender. You want the best doctor to take care of your child. And that's how I think government should be raised. We should be basically colorblind. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. This is still a public hearing on Ordinance 21-039. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, this is the last call on the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-039. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, council members, no one else has contacted me through the live event Q&A. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-039?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Prinzary. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-039, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-039. Council members, from the City Caucus meeting on Monday, there was an amendment that was mentioned by Councilperson Lavaro. I do have an amendment, and if Amanda, if you can pull up the ordinance, Ordinance 21-039, and if you go to the section where it's highlighted and it's in italics as well. This is the amendment that's going to be put up for a motion to amend. I'll read it into the record. It is any contract specifically set aside for the minority, women, veteran, LGBTQ, and disabled vendors must be competitively bid either through the public advertising, and this is where the amendment is, when a contract amount shall be above the bid threshold as established and updated pursuant to NJSA 40A:11-3C, or through informal bidding, and here's the other portion of the amendment, when a contract amount shall be below the bid threshold as established and updated pursuant to NJSA 40A:11-3C, and may be awarded only in response to bids from at least 2 qualified bidders are received. So council members, may I have a motion to amend City Ordinance 21-039 as described in the amendment and read into the record?
I'll motion.
Motion
Can I
made by
just speak,
Councilperson Navarro.
can I just speak to that, Sean, that motion?
Can I have a second before we do that?
Okay.
Yeah,
May I have a second on the motion?
Second.
motion.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. Sorry, Council President.
That's okay.
Okay, so Councilperson Navarro, you would like to speak before we take a vote?
Yeah, just to clarify that, as we discussed at caucus and on first reading as well, first of all, let me just thank the law department for drafting this up. It is not a substantial change. In fact, the language I guess there was just a misunderstanding about whether the law as it was drafted applies to informal bids. And in fact, the language does, and this just kind of clarifies the language so that there's no misunderstanding. Everyone's on the same page there. So it's not a substantial change. It won't delay the adoption of the ordinance, and so this language just provides greater clarification on that. So ask for the council to consider adopting these amendments.
And I can just confirm what Councilman Navarro said. It doesn't change the actual functionality or scope of the ordinance. It merely clarifies some of the language and the function.
Peter, can you just speak to, I guess, the difference between a formal bid and informal bid process?
Right. Well, the formal bid process, it must be advertised. It goes to, obviously it's completely open to public bid. As far as the informal bid process, we would simply have to solicit quotes from qualifying vendors. It does not need to be publicly advertised, and that is for the range. I apologize, it changes by year, but I believe it's 17,000 to 45,000.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, so for the record, motion to amend City Ordinance 21-039 was made by Councilperson Navarro, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On a motion to amend City Ordinance 21-039 as read into the record, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. You're on mute, sir.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
I'm not on mute.
Okay. Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Navarro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously 9-0 to amend City Ordinance 21-039 as read into the record and confirmed from Corporation Counsel that is not a substantial change. So for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 039 as amended, Councilperson Ridley.
I just want to say before taking the vote, everyone is entitled to their opinion on things, and I don't think anyone's opinion is right or wrong. But I think sometimes there's this misconception when things are spelled out for particular groups that things are given away. And that's not accurate. Just because something something is geared towards or appropriated for minorities, LGBTQ veterans, etc., doesn't mean that, you know, we walk up to anyone on the street from one of those groups and say, hey, do this because you're black, brown, purple, gay, lesbian, etc. You know, they must be qualified. We always want to make sure that whoever is doing work for the city is doing work the right way. So I just wanted to point that out because it's not a catch-all and a free-for-all. So with that, I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Okay, Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
I didn't say he was on mute this time. Councilperson Solomon.
Yeah, I just want to echo Councilman Ridley's point because I think it's just a really important one, and she stated it really well. I mean, I just feel like we spent decades and centuries as a country not hiring the best person because of racism and discrimination, and this is one step to fixing that. So with that, I vote aye, and I thank Director Hebron, Council President Waterman, and a number of people who worked to bring this forward.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Navarro.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. Number one, just also again, just want to reiterate my thanks to Norma and John for and the entire law department for the clarification of that to the language. The other parties that I really want to thank is that a lot of this came about because of pressure and a push from the community, in particular the NAACP. I know their chapter is inactive these days, but the members there, all of them, whatever side they're on in that situation, should all be proud of the work that they did to advocate and push for this. Last year, 2020, was a year unlike any other, with certainly with COVID, but we also saw social unrest as a result of the murder of George Floyd, and it brought to light all of the inequities that we have in society, and what it brought to light was the systemic issues of racism and in our society. And procurement, well, we see it in redlining and housing. We've seen it in businesses and how they treat their customers and clients. And then obviously we saw it, it was on headlines in our policing and as well. But it occurs in procurement, and it's been happening for a long, long time. And so this hopefully this law will help remedy that. But a law is only as good as the intentions and the commitment of those who are prepared to implement it. And so we really need to hold to account the administration to ensuring that they follow through on this, as we've had a long time, and we've had executive orders and executive actions. And the city council also passed an ordinance in the past, and we really haven't seen much change as a result in our procurement and equity in that regard. So we'll continue to monitor this after it's been passed. In the effort to amend some of the language, I lost track of an amendment that I wanted to see, which I'll work with the law department and my colleagues in the council to see if we can amend that. And that's the reporting on this. In section 3-54.3 talks about submitting quarterly reports to the business administrator to document the percentage of contracts awarded to the minority, women, veteran, LGBT, and disabled businesses, as well as in number 5 of that page, submitting an annual report to the business administrator. I'd like to amend that after we adopt it to include the city council, so that we can continue to monitor that ourselves, and then also look at some language to make sure that this information is public and is publicly reported in some way. But that's a issue for another day. Just for now, we'll vote yes to adopt this ordinance and continue to press forward for social equity and justice for all our communities here in Jersey, our diverse communities in Jersey City. I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
A resounding yes.
And Council President Waterman.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody that was involved. When we took office in 2013, this all stemmed from what is called the Croson study. In 2016, it was the late Kabili T who brought the Croson study to our attention. And at that time, the mayor did an executive order to create the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Board. And at that time, Diane Coleman was the chair with Judge Joe Charles. And out of that came the Division of Diversity and Inclusion. And at that time, we had to do another study because it was too far back from the Croson study to see if the procurement changed in any way. And so they hired Dr. Lyons, who did a terrific job with Rucker's team. And I want to say thank you, Dr. Lyons, if you on the if you're listening. I appreciate all you and all that you and your staff has done. And I want to thank Soraya for heading up that Diversity and Inclusion Division, who put so much effort and time in this to make sure it was done. And so with that in mind, and I heard what some of the callers said, and they gave their opinion that, you know, we shouldn't put things aside for people with special needs or privilege. But the reason why we create law like this, because people just won't do right. They just won't. If people would do right, you wouldn't have to create certain laws to make sure people are treated justly and fairly. But because they are not, you create laws to make sure everyone is treated justly and fairly. You shouldn't be judged by the color of your skin or your gender. You know, you should just be able to apply for a job or put out a bid because you're good at it. And so when that doesn't happen, we create law. So this law was in the making. It took 5 years to get to this point, to come up with agreement to do set-asides. 5 years, that's a long time to me. But sometimes that's how government works because everybody has to be at the table. So I'm glad that we're moving forward with this set-aside, but this is just the first step because there's so much more to be done to make sure people who have been working and really wanting help in this process just to do business with the city are treated fairly. So with that, I do vote aye. And I want to thank the Law Department. I want to thank my colleagues for being a part of that. And I want to thank the late Kabili T, I call him, because if he had not brought the Croson study to our attention, we would have not known that the city had a Croson study. That's why you need a transition team coming in as a council person, because we didn't have no idea that it existed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Council President. City Ordinance 21-039 as amended is approved unanimously 9-0. On to our last second reading ordinance, item 4.4, City Ordinance 21-040, an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, New Jersey, providing for various capital improvements for the City of Jersey City and appropriating $86,787,986. Therefore, and providing for the issuance of $82,448,586 in general improvement bond or notes of the City of Jersey City to finance the same. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, I believe we have our first speaker on the line. If you can identify yourself for the record, please.
Yvonne Walser.
Okay, Yvonne, your time is going to start on my countdown. You're going in 3, 2, 1, go.
First of all, I want to say it is appalling that I, as a speaker, gets 3 minutes to speak on a very lengthy bond issue, which I think is, you're talking about equality? Where's my point of view that in the past I had this right to speak? I didn't take advantage of it, but this is a very important bond issue, and I took for 3 minutes. I think that's appalling, real number one. The second thing I want to say is that there are various pieces in this bond ordinance that goes from 5 years to 40 years. How is the bond being structured? All at the same year or as individual bonds according to the lifespan of an object being used? For instance, you have vehicles in here that may have a lifespan of 5 years. Will those bonds be for a long or short period of time? I don't know. Also, this brings our bond debt total to what? I suggest that our bond debt should be mailed out along with our tax bill, and also including the school bond debt, since we pay that also. I want to say again that this debt is on the shoulders of the small homeowners, not anyone living in rent-controlled properties or affordable housing, because they don't go up. Considering the fact that 5,000 people wanted a tax lien in 2020, spending $15 million on now a museum is wrong. I remember former Mayor Schundler pushing a museum downtown. He said it would work because it is a few blocks from the path, and he is correct. But the events were at night, and there was no parking, so attendance was not there to support the museum. People will not go to a museum when the events are at 8 p.m. without parking. It won't work, especially in extremely cold weather. So I would like to know more the breakdown. I have the bond ordinance right here. I mean, we're looking at the bond ordinance, and it's broken down. Could someone please tell me about the various lifespans and whether like this, and how much will this debt raises up? Because I remember looking at the bond debt with the late Michael Young, and I went through the bond debt with him, and we were supposed to go down a great deal on our bond debt, and which means property taxes would have dropped a great deal. But instead, we go and start to bond a great deal. So I would like to know first, what will bring this up to how much debt do we have now? Could someone please answer that question? Because it is a public hearing, which means the other side must speak also. Can I get a response to that?
John, you want to email Yvonne the answer?
Sure, Council President. I'll get Yvonne. I'll get you the answer for the net debt. And just quickly, we don't usually get to the back and forth, but I will send you some information on how we structure the financing of the document. But you are correct, Mrs. Bolser, that it is structured in a way that covers the useful purposes and useful lives as it depletes. So I'll get you some more information on that.
Well, what is our debt? Like, what is the total debt for Jersey City? I know when I get my tax bill.
Yvonne, he'll get the information to you because we don't go back and forth. Okay, John, make sure you get her everything she asked for.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Okay, thank you, Yvonne. Your time is up. This is still a public hearing on Ordinance 21-040. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, we have, I think, 2 people to call in, so just bear with us and we'll get them patched through the meeting. We had a little entertainment right before that. Somebody humming a song, possibly. It's all good. Okay, we will get the next person on the line. Just bear with us. Okay, I believe we have our next speaker on the line. If you can identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Jean Daly.
Okay, Jean, your time is going to start on my countdown. You're going in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, good evening. I'm just kind of echoing a little bit what Yvonne Balser was saying, in the sense that we keep on borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and we seem like we're giddy, and we do it so frequently, with great frequency. And the question I have is, how often are we taking into account our wastefulness? Trying to save money, you have to cut back on what you're spending. What type of programs are being run to assess how much money that we're wasting and how we can save? I think that type of audit should be happening much more frequently and should be enacted, the results being enacted upon, so we stop increasing our debt load, because it's just an abyss that's going to destroy our town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 21-040. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting.
I'll call you back in a little while.
Sean, I'm just checking in. I was told, am I having technical problems? Everybody can see me?
We can see you and hear you, Councilperson Lavara.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is the last call for the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-040. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, no one has contacted me through the live event Q&A. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-040?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Prinzary. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-040, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavara.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 21-040. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 21-040, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavara.
What, is this a final vote?
We are voting for final consideration of adoption of City Ordinance 21-040.
This is for the capital improvements, correct? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a couple of comments and questions, if I may.
Sure.
So on the question front, the amendment and the language was inserted, correct? Relating to the streets? Is that accurate, or do we need to make a formal amendment?
Councilman, we will make a formal amendment. I circulated an email to council this afternoon. Basically, at the advice of bond counsel, we should proceed with the vote, and then we will make an amendment on that particular item. That subsection with this vote would essentially be frozen until that amendment is made. So the dollars that are allocated in that subsection would not be able to be bonded or utilized as per the outside counsel.
So the amendment will come at a future meeting, is that?
That's correct, Councilman.
Okay. So we're just voting on it as it is today. Okay, so let me just go through this, and I'm going to touch on each purpose and have questions. I'm going to skip purpose number 1, go jump down to purpose number 2 and the Skyway Park. I think obviously the 6.65 million annual, the initial down payment of 350,000. And I think this is a good thing. Obviously, this is the park that's going to be the COVID Memorial Park. Just a question for you. Would this qualify for quote COVID dollars, meaning Skyway Park itself? And so I just want to ask that question. You don't have to have the answer. If you have the answer today, you can give it to me. If not, then I can certainly have the answer another date.
Sure, Councilman. So the construction of the facility would not be covered. If we would have had to institute social distancing measures, say on a children's playground or something of that, which we had to build out, that would be an allowable cost. But just in general, build out of the facility would not be.
What about like, it's my understanding like a tree would be dedicated to every person who's Jersey City resident whose lives were lost, something to that effect. Would that be covered in some of the COVID dollars that are out there?
I mean, it's such a particular item. I'd have to get back to you on that one.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you can get back to me on that, that'd be
sure.
Perfect. On the second thing with the North and South police districts and the precincts, looking at $7.6 million, 2021 budget year down payment of $400,000. And for the viewing public, that's 5% of the amount of that's being bonded for, or that we're getting from through this bond for that purpose. And so it's 5% of that. So it's $400,000 in this case, 7.6 million going for North and South. I think if anyone's ever seen both precincts, they know they're in dire need of being replaced. I completely agree with that. I have concerns about the idea that, particularly with the South, that we haven't got a site and we're prepared to bond for those dollars. And it seems like there's not a specific plan in place. We're just kind of putting a marker on the dollars. I'm reminded of the late Councilman Yun when these things came up, and he would raise the question of that there were so many capital projects that hadn't been started and so many capital dollars that were unspent. And it's like taking out a line of credit with the idea of buying something in the future, but we're still paying for that line of credit and paying fees towards that line of credit, even though we haven't actually utilized it in any way, shape, or form to pay for the site or anything like that. And so that concerns me as to how that we'll ultimately execute that, because the taxpayers have to pay for that ultimately for us kind of waiting and pending to purchase that. The second thing is the $1.9 million for the Creative Center, which has a $100,000 down payment. As a city council, we haven't received any information about like how similar to the South District, little information about what's here, what's being proposed. It's a vision and idea to do something, and that it appears that we've kind of stumbled upon this property, it seems to me, and so we're just going to kind of throw some money and add some idea that came out of it as a result. The idea that's being proposed as like a center for arts organizations, I think it's a good idea in general, but it seems like a slapdash again, and just kind of in that regard. The $37.6 million for buildings and streets, the renovations to City Hall, fine, the homeless intake center at Hudson Gardens, I voted for that as well. and the appropriation that was discussed of $2 million was proposed. The police training facility and de-escalation training, I'm fine with in of itself, but the idea that there's been no plans shared, at least with me, the city council member, as to what that would look like and how the timetable and rollout for that, other than with the introduction of this bond ordinance. And so I would ask that we be provided for all of these things that have been talked about, some ideas as to, or any information or plans related to the South District, the Creative Center, and the police training facility that's being proposed here. The other thing is, and I know Paul had responded to me on this question about on the amount of streets and how much we're spending here. But it seems like this is a larger amount of money than we would normally spend in any given year for capital improvements for street resurfacing. Not to say that our streets don't need resurfacing. A lot of the streets that are out there that need resurfacing are because of kind of the PSE&G and modernization, which they're accountable for and responsible for, and which they're going to pick up the cost on ultimately. And then it also includes the kind of the MUA work that's being done citywide as well. And so all of that, both those parties are responsible for are paying for that as well. So this is in excess of that, as I understand it. And if anyone's on the call and corrects me on that, this is part of the city's street resurfacing program, as opposed to the PSE&G and MUA pieces. And so it's far more and exceeds what we did in the past. And just in late September, October of last year, we, I think, adopted a bond allocating over $8 million for street resurfacing. I don't have a report on that as to what was spent there, but I can't imagine that we've already spent that $8 million there on that street resurfacing. And so we're doing a lot more street resurfacing. And I'm going to say what I suspect it is, which is I think it's a kind of an election day budget, right? Election year budget. And kind of the giveaways of that are so common in elections to pave the streets and to be able to say that your tax dollars at work for you in that regard. But that particular tax dollar is going to cost the people of Jersey City nearly $2 million on a down payment in the 2021 budget, and then more for the 20 years after this to pay down this bond. After that, we've got the all of the vehicles and equipment at $12.6 million with a $660,000 down payment in the 2021 budget. And so when we are going to adopt the budget later on, we're going to talk about the kind of the reduction in taxes and so forth. But if we were to look at this with the $4.some million and the down payment for 2021, and if you were to take the solid waste collection fee, we could achieve some other savings and other things, and the monies that were allocated from the federal government. If we were being more prudent with our dollars here, I think the taxpayers may even see more of a savings as a result. Or we'd be able to fund some other underfunded initiatives here in Jersey City, such as our schools, among other things. And then we get to the software, and I won't belabor the point on that. $1.9 million, $100,000 annual payment. The last thing, which was the first item here, is $15 million, the $750,000 down payment for the Pathside building and the improvements. And so I'm going to take us back in time a little bit, and for the viewing public on this, I'm going back to early 2018 when the Pathside was first presented to the City Council, and we were asked to consider a subsidy agreement on this, and there was questions raised about whether it would be financially feasible for the city and sustainable. Again, that was early 2018, and at that time the asking price was $10 million. We were told at that time that we could easily fetch, if we acquired this property and we gave the subsidy to the the city, to the JCRA, that we could easily fetch 20, if we couldn't find a viable cultural partner that would be financially feasible, that would be self-sustaining as much as possible, that we were going to look to make it self-sustaining. And in fact, even if we didn't want to get out of that business, that we could do $25 million easily to fetch that for this property on this side. And so for the Pathside building, with this $15 million, we now essentially exceed that $25 million cost, as I pointed out at first reading, that $25 million appraised, informally appraised value, or that was told to us by the administration at that time, administration representatives. And then there's media reports that the capital cost here could escalate and be as much as $30 to $40 million for the Pathside building alone, making it a substantial investment for Jersey City. And as a result, and I'll say more about it later on when we get to the agreement, but whether or not we're going to be able to, whether there was a financial analysis done to determine whether this is sustainable for us financially, and where the work was done around that. And I know the mayor presented at caucus and suggested that it was, but there's actually no data to support that, and no financial analysis to support it in any way, shape, or form. And so we just have these stories and reports of how impactful arts is, but there appears to be little to no financial analysis here with regard to that. My final thing is here that, and I'll say in my comments about this ordinance and this capital budget, is that we're looking at $87 million, nearly $4.3 million, more than $4.3 million in the 2021 budget as a down payment on this capital bond, general improvement bond. And the information we were provided with regard to how much we would be paying over the life of it, in 2022, we will pay $3.66 million, $3,660,000. And by the 20th year, we will be paying $5,870,000 plus per year on this bond, for a total over the life of the 20 years of the bond of $91,518,000 to taxpayers, which I will say, in my humble opinion, is largely a vanity project for the Pompidou, the Center Pompidou ex Jersey City, and not against the arts, not at all. I voted initially for it, but I also said at that time that we had to make sure that this was financially sustainable and doable, and we haven't done the work here. It's simple as that to the people of Jersey City. We simply haven't done the work to ensure that this is financially feasible and viable. The last thing I'll just say in closing this out is that I lost my thoughts on that one, but so I'm gonna, for those reasons, I'm gonna vote no. As much as I think there are some other good things in here in this this bond, I'm gonna vote no overall, in large part because of the Pompidou itself.
Okay. Okay, Sean.
Okay, sorry about that. Councilperson Rivera
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Okay, if I can just recap, City Ordinance 21-040 is adopted 8-1 with Councilperson Navarro voting no. Okay, council members, this is now the public hearing on the Special Improvement District of Central Avenue. This is a public hearing on the 2021-2022 Central Avenue Special Improvement District Assessment Roll and Budget. Any members of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. This is the last call for the public hearing on the Special Improvement District 2021-2022 Central Avenue Special Improvement District Assessment Roll and Budget. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, council members, no one has contacted me through the live event Q&A. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on the Central Avenue Special Improvement District Budget and Assessment Roll? I have a motion made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second? Second by Councilperson Prince Airy. On the motion to close the public hearing on the Central Avenue Special Improvement District Budget and Assessment Roll, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prince Airy.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Solomon. We'll come back to him. Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon, are you there? We'll just mark him active for that. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Solomon absent to close the public hearing on the Central Avenue Special Improvement District Budget and Assessment Roll. Okay, council members and ladies and gentlemen, members of the public, we are now going on a public hearing on the grant application to be submitted to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Urban Parks Grant with a rollover to the Green Acres Land Acquisition and Park Development Program by the City of Jersey City for Leonard Gordon Park. I believe we have Brian Weller, our city architect, on the call. He will be doing a brief presentation, and Amanda will be sharing her screen with the presentation as Brian wishes. Brian, would you like us to start with the presentation or with the map?
I think we can just go straight to the presentation. Good evening, council members and public. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for that.
Before you start, Brian, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Before you start, council members, can you all see the presentation?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Brian. Thank you.
Absolutely. As you know, this is a grant application to Green Acres Urban Park Initiative grant. We're seeking $500,000 to help us offset the costs for the first phase. The first phase of this project, as outlined previously in the master plan, will involve the circulation paths and lighting, stair repair, and green infrastructure to reduce stormwater runoff, flooding downstream and down the streets. Next slide. Working with the Friends of Leonard Gordon Park and the Leonard Gordon Park Conservancy, Councilman Saleh, and Vernon Richardson and the mayor's office, we all came to an agreement on the ornamental lighting that was selected, which you can see in this slide. You can go to the next slide. When the stairs are going to be reconstructed and made code compliant, lighting is critical. So this under rail lighting is what is going to be also included with this project. Next slide. This outlines the pathway network that will be improved as part of this first phase. Next slide. Some samples of paving patterns and paving options. Next slide. Examples of other trails that we might implement here and there, as well as some examples of code compliant stair railing and lighting options. Next slide. And I believe with that, we're back to the start, which just basically shows the entire park master plan. It shows the entire master plan, which will be need to be phased, because to do this all at one time, we would need in excess of $7 million, which was not in the budget for this. And which is why we broke out into phases, being first phase, that's something that's attainable, and hopefully will be a strong contender to get grants to help offset these costs. So with that, that's it. That's the application.
Just want to thank you, Brian, for, the countless hours and days and weeks that you spent to put this together and working with 2 different park groups and myself and Vernon and the community to get it done. I know it was it was a balancing act and a delicate one. And thank you for your professionalism, as well as Vernon Richardson for everything that he's done as well.
Thank you. Everyone involved appreciates that, I'm sure.
Okay, Brian, you're all finished?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So now, members of the public, this is a public hearing on the grant application to be submitted to New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Urban Parks Grant with a rollover to the Green Acres Land Acquisition and Park Development Program by the City of Jersey City for Leonard Gordon Park. Any members of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number, and we will patch you through the meeting through a live event Q&A. Okay, this is the last call for the public hearing on the application to be submitted to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Urban Parks Grant for Leonard Gordon Park. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please provide me with your full name and telephone number through the live event Q&A, and we will patch you through the meeting. Okay, council members, no one has contacted me through the live event Q&A. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on the application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the Leonard Gordon Park application? Motion made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Soleil. On the motion to close the public hearing for the application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the Leonard Gordon Park, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Soleil.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously 9-0 to close the public hearing on the application to the Department of Environmental Protection for the application for Green Acres for the Leonard Gordon Park. Thank you so much to Brian Weller, our city architect, being available for any questions that the public may have had. Okay, on to our public request for a hearing. Members of the public, please be by your phone, your cell phone, your house phone, whatever phone number that you provided us when you signed up to speak. This is the time that we will be calling you to patch you through the meeting. If you do not answer the phone and if your phone goes to voicemail, we will skip you. We will not be calling you back. So please make sure you are by your phone and able to answer your phone. With that being said, we are going to move on to our first public speaker, number 5.1. We are getting that person on the call momentarily. Please bear with us. Okay, I believe we have our first speaker on the call. If you can identify yourself for the record, please.
Yvonne Walter.
Okay, Yvonne, your time is going to start on my countdown. You're going in 3, 2, 1, go.
First, I want to say that I have not received the information I asked at the last meeting, which was our tax bills and about the garbage bills on our municipal portion. And I was told that John Metro will contact me. So now I'm waiting for 3 things right now, which is the information I asked today and the tax bills and the garbage bills. I'm not getting information at all. Secondly, I want to bring up a really important issue. Years ago, when Councilman Phillip was on the city council, parents came to him and complained about a music teacher who was sexually abusing children. And Phillip said he wanted to pass legislation to protect children since there are no background checks on private instructions, unlike schools. Parents and others, the reason why I bring this up because Jersey City is doing Drag Queen Story Hour in the public library, and I read recently that Councilman Solomon had one for his fundraiser. I like to know whether or not we're doing background checks, because parents in other states have discovered that some of these drag queens had convictions on sexually assaulting children. Now, I don't know whether or not Phillip passed this. I didn't follow it, but he said he would as a councilman. If he did pass it, I'm hoping our city council is doing background checks on anyone that has access to children. If for some chance it did not go through, I think it's really important that the city council does that, because you live in a dream world if you think that there are men there only interested in children for, because they like kids. There are a number of people in the states that is now coming through that parents have gone to the library and saying, this person has a conviction for molesting a 6-year-old child, that person. And, it's just a fact. I'm just reporting to you. So I'm hoping that this law was passed by Phillip when he was there. I don't know. I didn't follow it. Normally I don't follow everything. Basically, I follow budget numbers. And getting back to the budget, I'm hoping that I receive what I asked for. And I'm hoping one of you could please check to see whether or not that stuff was passed by then Councilman Phillip. And if it was passed, to make sure it is applied to anyone that does these things with children, to make sure that we're not having people with sex abuse, because I don't care if you were in public school and private school, there's a background check done on you because you're dealing with kids. And the same thing should apply with this also. So I'm asking for that to be done and to make sure that we're following law, because, if we're not, and there's a problem, you're held accountable, and as a taxpayer, I'm sued. So that's all I have to say. I'm hoping that I'll get the information I asked for very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yvonne. Okay, speaker 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4 has declined to speak. So I believe we have the next speaker on the line, which is 5.5. If you can identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Jean Daly.
Okay, Gene, your time is going to start on my countdown. You're going in 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, Sean. I'd like to speak to item 10.16. That's the resolution 21-443 regarding this Pompidou Center. I think this is a huge mistake. I have no idea why this city is choosing to take on this financial burden at this very time. Yes, I agree. It's an election year, so things become vanity projects. I just feel like it's an Imelda Marcos in Jersey City right now, where she has her beautiful shoes, so we've got to have our Lowe's has got to be fixed, which I agree. We got to have the Pompidou Center. We have to have this. We have to have that for the world stage. Meanwhile, the rest of us are living in poverty. We don't have clothes for our school kids. We don't have food for our school kids. We can't even afford our school budget. Why are we spending money on this vanity project? And yes, it's election year, so we get the Oprah too. It's like, you get a car, you get a car. We all get a car. Everyone gets $1,000 off their taxes. Well, I promise you, my rent is not going down. But I'm absolutely appalled by this Pompidou thing. I think it should be Pompadon't. It's a real fiasco. And if you're going to reach out to anybody, why in God's name aren't we reaching out to an American institution? An American institution, maybe the American Smithsonian. They are a conglomerate of 19 world-class museums, galleries, gardens. They have zoos too, but I don't think that's going to work. We might have a partnership with the National Museum of African American History and Culture. These are things that our residents could use and appreciate and grow so much from. The Smithsonian has the American Art Museum, Museum of American History, National Museum of the American Indian, Cooper Hewitt Design Museum, including the National Portrait Gallery. That would be pretty amazing if we could get some of the presidential portraits into Jersey City. Why are we going so far afield? And even Newark itself has the New Jersey Historic Society. I think our students and our residents need to learn about what's going on in their area where they live, because they need to value being a resident of New Jersey, and they need to value being a resident of Jersey City. We have so much to offer, and we time and time are short shafting our school kids. We are now bonding. So we're bonding for all these different capital gains projects, including the Leonard Gordon Park, saying that we need to go for this grant because we can't afford $7 million. But meanwhile, we're going to toss this money out the window for some Pompidou Center. And looking at the resolution, the memorandum of understanding, there's not a single dollar sign, nothing. There's not anything
Thank you, Jean.
to determine. Okay, no worries. Thank you so much. But this is insane. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night. Okay. Council members. Speaker 5.6 went right to voicemail, 5.7 declined, and 5.8 was no answer. So we are moving on to our petitions and communications. Item 6.1 through 6.22. Any questions or comments on the petitions and communications? Okay, hearing none. Office of Communications 7.1 through 7.6. Any questions or comments? Okay, none. Report of Directors, items 8.1 through 8.14. Any questions or comments? All right, moving right along to our claims and addendum number 1. Council members, we're going to be taking a vote on claims and addendum number 1. But before we do that, I was contacted by our Division of Community Development, and I was asked to pull a claim that is on page 28 of the expenditure approval report, page 28. It's a payment to 306 Bergen Avenue LLC for $499,840.87. We're going to be pulling that and withdrawing that payment. So with that being said, for a vote on claims and addendum number 1, with the exception of page 28, 306 Bergen Avenue LLC, amount $499,840.87. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prince Airy.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Navarro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Claims and addendum number 1 are approved unanimously 9-0, with the exception of, on page 28, 306 Bergen Avenue LLC, for the amount of $499,840.87 has been withdrawn. Thank you so much, council members. Okay, I'm going to be taking a vote on items 10.1 through 10.14. Again, that's resolutions items 10.1 through 10.14. Councilperson Ridley.
1 second.
Sure.
14. Aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Prince Airy.
Aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Thank you, Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Solomon.
Aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Robinson.
Aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Navarro.
You said to where through 10.14?
That's correct.
Just on 10.1, last year I voted against accepting the budget. This budget comes in with a tax, a reduction in the levy on the city side to offset the, hopefully to offset the levy increase at the school side. So I will accept this budget this year. But I look forward to the hearings and to be able to further scrutinize some of the expenditures in this year's budget. I vote aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
Thank you, and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Thank you. So if I could just recap, items 10.1 through 10.14 are approved unanimously 9-0. Okay, council members, items 10.15 through 10.25. Again, that's items 10.15 through 10.25. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prince Airy.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
I wanted to share, if you all indulge me, just a few minutes, my thoughts on 10.16, just to make sure it's sort of on the public record. First, I want to kind of make a technical point, which hasn't, I think, been made a ton, which is that this is a resolution approving an MOU. The MOU is not binding, but it lays out commitments, but it also lays out stages. And there's basically 4 stages yet to come from this. There is stage 1, which is the initial sort of, I guess, idea generation, and then stage 2, which is, you know, about a 12 to 15 month stage of moving us sort of forward in this fashion. And I think that's really important because we're not sort of signing off on a final deal tonight, committing every cent to this museum. We are potentially taking a step forward. And I've been very sort of torn on this issue, and I think there's sort of a best case and a worst case scenario. In your best case scenario, you have a cultural institution that is in the heart of the city for the next 50 years that provides education, opportunity, jobs to literally hundreds and thousands of Jersey City residents. And you're sort of creating an anchor for a city that, just like cities across the country, have incredible anchor cultural institutions. And we have some already in Jersey City, and this would be another. I think in your worst case scenario, we're going to spend $10+ million a year, even potentially up to 15 or 20, 5 to 7 years from now, the Center Pompidou says, hey, we're out, we're not doing this anymore, and they go back to France, and we're left with this museum without a collection at all. And I think we have to be cognizant of both of those outcomes, that you have potentially the best outcome for the city and a really, truly awful one. And so for me, as sort of thinking this through, if I were committing to everything today, I would vote no. But because we're not committing to everything today, we're simply taking a step forward. I think the potential positive scenario, the potential for having that anchor institution in Journal Square means enough to me to say, okay, let's move forward and let's give folks 6 months as to what the contract outlines. It's sort of, I think, 2 months to come up with that first phase, and then the first phase is 4 months. So give folks 6 months to really, really, really flesh out the details and hopefully come back to us with more detail. But I want to be clear that we don't have enough right now. We need 6 months. We need those 6 months to come up because we don't have a sense of the true funding plan for this. The capital costs, what are they going to be? The operating costs, the fact that you might have to pay for insurance, for sending the artwork across the Atlantic Ocean. There's so much that we do not yet know. We've talked about the idea of taxing developers in Journal Square to pay for this. Great idea. What does it mean? How much does it truly matter? This is an incredible economic benefit if it comes and works out for the state of New Jersey. What are they putting in? We don't have any answers to those questions. So for me, it's worth it to move forward for 6 months to try to get answers to those questions. But if we don't get answers to those questions, that worst case scenario is still there. That we spend literally $50 million while we're not funding core city priorities, and then after 5 to 7 years, it's gone. So what I will be doing is really trying to hold the folks who are working on this, their feet to the fire. They're all good people, but they have to deliver real core concrete plans. We have not seen an economic analysis of the impact on this. We've seen studies from other places, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen what the ticket pricing could be. What is the potential revenue we're going to get? There's just so much we haven't seen yet. And for me, it's the next 6 months is to dive in and see if the details come through or if they don't. And if they don't, folks should be prepared to pull the plug. Absolutely. So worth it to move forward today, but I'm going to be skeptical and do my job of doing due diligence as long as I sit in this seat. So with that, wanted to get that out and appreciate you guys giving me the time to do that. And with that, I will vote aye on all of the items here.
Thank you, Councilperson Robinson.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Councilman Solomon much more. This is just another way of how government works. This is partnerships that if everything comes together and all things are moving on the same cylinder, this is a grand slam for not just Jersey City, but the state of New Jersey and the country, you know, being the only state in the North America with this opportunity. But there are, you know, some steps that need to be taken. And, you know, like I said, it's another step. It's another evidence of how government works, and things take time when you're in government, and we need to give it the time, because if this works, then I think for the next 50 years we'll be, you know, the talk of not just New Jersey, but America, and we'll have people, you know, visiting here from ever, and we'll be having a lot of we'll have a lot of benefits to the city, to the state, and most importantly to the youth of the city, because if we can get together with the Board of Education and make this work, then it's a home run grand slam for the kids. So I vote aye for all.
Thank you, Councilperson Lavaro.
So I just want to ask a question, and before I make my remarks and my final vote, to the administration, whether it be from Mr. Metro to the Corporation Council, or to anyone who's involved with this project. It was stated by the mayor that there was a non-disclosure agreement. I requested, let me just go back, in the caucus, the mayor talked about the financial analysis and cited this kind of being as a, not quoting him here, but as a slam dunk, as it was suggested by the councilman, and that the financial returns. And so I had requested some of those financials, and the mayor suggested he would provide it. He gave me some information that provided some, what I would call are just kind of theoretical type of analyses of like of the market and so forth, but like nothing necessarily about this particular venture, as Councilman Solomon noted. In one of the things I pointed out at the caucus meeting was that I had been inquiring about this going back to at least September of last year, when we had a capital bond ordinance, a general improvement bond again before the city council, similar to the one that was voted on today. And that one we included less than $1 million. I forget, I think it was closer to like $500,000 for the pathside building, for stabilization of the building, presumably of some sort. I voted no against that. I requested information about the pathside project and received none at that time. I did also subsequently receive a memo dated April 15th, 2021, outlining that the process and describing that at the time that the JCRA had engaged with OMA, the consultant who was hired to try to help us identify a partner and to come up with a concept for the pathside building and a museum concept at the time, that they had not identified a cultural partner. That was April 15th, 2021. Today is June 16th. And so I raised that during caucus, and the mayor indicated at that time that they had been engaged in discussions and negotiations, and that I could appreciate the idea that there was the sensitivity of the discussions and that there was non-disclosure agreements as a result. So in my follow-up with the mayor in requesting the financial analysis, I also requested the non-disclosure agreements and copies of that. And I would ask that that be furnished, and it was suggested by the mayor that there were non-disclosure agreements, that there were negotiations. And I'm going to ask the administration, can you provide me those copies? I did make that direct request to the mayor. I'm making it on the record here. I'd like to get copies of that. Kind of like weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, we need to trust but verify. And I need to verify that that in fact is the process that's been undertaken here. Can you answer that question, and will you provide me that non-disclosure agreement or any other communications between the city and the Pompidou related and the JCRA related to this negotiations of this agreement?
Yes, Councilman, I'll work with law department to see what could be remitted or what would be the process with that from a legal perspective.
Great. Thank you very much, John. That being said, I'm not going to belabor the point. I made a lot of my points during the bond ordinance. The one thing I'll say is that, again, just to reiterate that the timing of that April 15th to today, in the absence of not having any other information, and if other council members have information that they'd like to share, I welcome them doing that. But from what I indicated, as I said, the first indication for me about this agreement with the Pompidou, and it was on June 1st. I received a call from the mayor asking to speak with me. The mayor suggested to me that he had reached out multiple times. I want to put this on the record. That's never happened. I've never heard from anyone about the Pompidou or about the Pathside Museum up until that memo on April 15th. And from my inquiries, and I've made multiple inquiries on the record publicly here in these council meetings and council caucuses. And so I did receive a call from the mayor on June 1st. I wasn't able to take that call at that time. He said, we said we'd get back to each other to discuss it. And then shortly after that, on June 2nd, at 10:43 a.m., a media advisory was released to announce an important announcement. No further information was provided, other than there was an important announcement that would feature Governor Murphy as well as the mayor himself. Ultimately, on Friday, January 4th, I guess it was, or 5th, I forget the exact dates now, January 5th, that the announcement was made in the morning that it was the Pompidou that was going to be the cultural partner, and that we would be partnering with them in this endeavor. I am highly skeptical, and people can prove me wrong, and that's fine. But I'm going to make the decisions based on the information I have before me, which is little to none, other than kind of declarations that this is somehow going to be a slam dunk kind of profitable venture and opportunity for Jersey City residents. I don't see that, and you know, I'm gonna say that when we started this back in January 2018, circumstances have changed when this was first brought before the council. What changed is that as of June of 2018, the state adopted legislation cutting our school funding draconian cuts to our school funding here in Jersey City, and that we have a severe school funding crisis on top of an affordable housing crisis, as well as a COVID and eviction crisis that we're probably going to be dealing with in the near future. So we have all of these issues, and this is, I think, again, I'll say, a vanity project that we can't afford. It's not to say that we shouldn't have it. We shouldn't have beautiful things. We shouldn't have beautiful art, that everybody should have that throughout every area of the city and spectrum and across the incomes and races and ethnicity. But we have to get our priorities straight here, in my opinion. The last point I'm going to make here, and I'm going to quote a resident of Rhode Island, Stephen Phillip himself, who said that at a council meeting in Narragansett, Rhode Island, that once the proposal starts, what he talked about, that parking proposal there, and the process starts, it will be very hard to stop. And he went on to say, I know this proposal is to explore, but we all know that once you start exploring, it will be hard for the council to stop. And that's exactly what's happening now, is that this went into motion. I voted for it in early 2018. I wish I had heeded then Rhode Island residents' advice that it is too hard to stop once this stuff moves forward, because I would have voted against it back then, knowing that we were going down this road without any sort of financial analyses to back in this huge expenditure that we're going to be making, that could be monies that could be utilized for so many other purposes. And as I said to the Jersey Journal, my job in being elected was to represent the people of Jersey City and to serve the needs of the Jersey City residents aren't asking for this. When there were meetings around this that were done, people asked for a lot of different things, but in no way, and if you check the comments about it throughout the public, you're going to see that they don't say that the people who attended it were not calling for a Pompidou or anything like a Pompidou. They wanted things for local artists as well. Even if we wanted to go down this road, they were looking for ways to support local artists and to be able to do things here locally in Jersey City. I think we've lost our way. We've lost our values on this, and we're building a city for not for the people of Jersey City, but for tourists and to attract other people who are not here, currently living here. And so the last point I want to make, and just an observation, is that with the passage of this agreement, the one thing that is 100% certain, 100% certain, is that the clear beneficiary of this is the value of the properties around the Pompidou. And that includes the KRE building, the 2 skyscrapers up there, and then the one that was recently settled by KABR, the Kushner development fronting Kennedy Boulevard. And those properties are now going to see, as a result of this, dramatic and increase in the values of their properties, and we've done them a great service. This city council has done them a great service in helping them to be able to be more profitable with their ventures. So for all of those reasons, I'm voting no on Resolution 10.16, Resolution 21-443, and aye on all the rest.
So you're voting no on 10.16 and 10.23? And aye on all the rest, correct, Councilperson LaFleur?
No. No on Resolution 10.16, and aye on all the rest.
Okay, I thought I heard you say something about 10.23. My apologies.
How far are we going to?
We're going to 10.25. No, it's just 10.16, correct, that you're voting no?
Correct.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Okay, if I can just recap. Item 10.15 is approved 9-0. Item 10.16 is approved 8-1 with Councilperson Lavaro voting no. Items 10.17 through 10.25 are approved unanimously 9-0. Okay, on to items 10.26 through 10.36. Again, that's items 10.26 through 10.36.
Council
Councilperson,
President, before we cast our votes, may I had reached out to the law department and to the business administrator to point out that 1026, 1028, 1033, and 1035, by my review of the documents, did not have their pay-to-play documentation. And just wanted to, I don't think I saw a response on that. Could the administration speak to that before the council casts its vote?
Councilman, we did look at X purchasing to review it. I'm not sure if I got a response. Just pull up my emails.
Okay.
Okay. Yay, Sean.
okay, so I'm going to be taking a vote on items 10.26 through 10.36. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinderi.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Rich?
Councilperson Bajano.
I keep on getting cut off. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're voting yes on items 10.26 through 10.36, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Thank
I
you.
keep on getting cut off. The voice. Yeah.
It might be the internet connection, Councilman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson
No.
Solomon.
I think I got.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Where are we going to?
I'm sorry. So we're going from items 10.26 through 10.36.
To 10 points. Sorry, say the last one again.
36.
36.
36. Okay. Aye for all.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Lavarro.
On 26, 28, 33, and 35, I will abstain absent the pay-to-play information, and ask that the administration furnish that in accordance with the law. And I vote aye on all the rest.
If you can just repeat the ones that you're abstaining on again, sir?
26, 28, 33, and 35. I'm abstaining because they are missing pay-to-play information.
Right. So you're abstaining on items 10, 26, 28, 33, and 35.
Correct.
And aye on all the rest. Thank you. Councilperson Rivera
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Thank you. If I can just recap. Okay, item 10.26 is approved, 8-0-1 with Councilperson Lavarro abstaining. Item 10.27 is approved unanimously, 9-0. Item 10.28 is approved, 8-0-1 with Councilperson Lavarro abstaining. Items 10.29 through 10.32 are approved unanimously, 9-0. Item 10.33 is approved, 8-0-1 with Councilperson Lavarro abstaining. Item 10.34 is approved unanimously, 9-0. Item 10.35 is approved, 8-0-1 with Councilperson Lavarro abstaining. And item 10.36 is approved unanimously, 9-0. Okay, for the balance of our resolutions, items 10.37 through 10.46. Again, that's items 10.37 through 10.46. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
You, Councilperson Prinderi.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Baggiano? Can you repeat that?
Can you hear me?
Saying aye. Go ahead. Repeat it now.
Sean, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Sean. Call some. Sean, yeah, Sean.
Hey, Councilman. Okay. Okay, no problem. All right, you know what? I'm going to put you on speaker real quick. So Councilperson Baggiano, your vote again? Thank you. Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
I'm going to vote no on 1041, 1043, and 1046, and then aye on all the rest.
Okay. That's 1041, 1043, and 1046.
Correct.
And on all the rest. Got it. Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro.
On 1040, I'm abstaining. This one was also missing its pay to play information. And then I'm also voting no on 1041, 1043, and 1046. And voting aye on all the rest.
Thank you. And Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
Council President Waterman.
No on 1046 and aye on all the rest.
Okay. If I can just recap, items 10.37 through 10.39 are approved unanimously 9-0. Item 10.40 is approved 8-0-1 with Councilperson Lavaro abstaining. Item 10.41 is approved 7-2 with Council members Solomon and Lavaro voting no. Item 10.42 is approved unanimously 9-0. Item 10.43 is approved 7-2 with Council members Solomon and Lavaro voting no. Item 10.44 through 10.45 are approved unanimously 9-0. And item 10.46 is approved 7-2 with Council members Solomon and Lavaro voting no. Okay, council members, with that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn at 8:09 p.m. Motion was made by.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Can I stop for a second?
You can.
Do you need to catch me up on a vote for the SID before we adjourn?
So the vote on the SID, it was just to close the public hearing. That
Okay,
was-
cool. And if you don't need to catch me up, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
and you actually voted on the actual resolutions approving the budget and the
Perfect.
assessment.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. So we have a motion to adjourn at 8:09 p.m. by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Pranzeri. On the motion to adjourn at 8:09 p.m., all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
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 We are out of here at 8:09 p.m. Thank you so much, council members, council president, all the professional staff that have joined us, the people behind the scenes that make this possible. Thank you so much. As always, you are our MVPs. And members of the public, thank you so much for your patience and for you watching. And remember, we are not done with this COVID-19 whatsoever. Just stay diligent, keep doing what we're doing, stay vaccinated, get vaccinated. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night and stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Go Sixers.